yoga friends, welcome to today's Kids Yoga Meets Astrology. My name's Doreen Foxwell, and today I'm going to talk about the Mercury retrograde that we just officially entered today. For the past 2 weeks, the Mercury planet Mercury, has been slowing down, and as it slows down, it appears to then go backwards, even though it's not technically, but it appears that way from our vantage point. Today's officially when it started that looking like it was going retrograde or backwards, and that will last for the next couple of weeks. And this happens 3 or 4 times a year. It's the retrograde you hear the most about, and it's the retrograde that gets blamed for so many different things. But as I've learned more and more about astrology in the past couple of years, and as I've become more sensitive and open to it, I've noticed the effects so much more of the 2 weeks leading to the retrograde than the retrograde itself. I do find it very interesting that I am affected by those 2 weeks leading to it. But it's just the way it works for me. There are many people that they'll feel the effects during the retrograde. There are some people that it won't affect them at all. They don't even know what a Mercury retrograde is, nor do they care. But I'm here to share with you some details you should look at when you're in a retrograde, especially a Mercury retrograde. Now, Mercury is the planet of communication. So your words really matter right now. This is the time to do all the re's, they say, redo, revisit, realign, all those type of REs during a Mercury retrograde. What a lot of people don't talk about is how you react. I'm going to use today. I feel like this Mercury retrograde is going to be a lot about internal things and your own personal relationships with yourself and others. This is the time that if somebody says something or even does something that's going to upset you, you should really take a pause or a moment or a step back before you react. I am personally very guilty of this. My initial response is to react in maybe not the most kind or favorable way. I'll joke around with friends and family that know me and say, yeah, yoga went out the window. But this Mercury retrograde, I really did try to take a pause and reflect. A retrograde is when you reflect on why the person was acting the way they were, how that person or persons hurt me or my feelings. And I decided to kind of internalize and keep that in. When most people who know me know that I don't keep a lot in. I usually let it out. You know if I like you, you know if I don't, you know if I'm happy with things, you know if I'm not. As my husband says, I could never play poker. So true. But for this Mercury retrograde, I do really feel the energy is more about you reflecting about your own reaction to things. It also is a time that you might have to redo things. For those of you that might be writers, this is a time where, guess what, writers? Whatever you're working on, you need to recheck, redo, rewrite, whatever it might be. This is what happens during a Mercury retrograde. But some of the best things in life can happen during a Mercury retrograde. I know that over a year, 2 years ago, a Mercury retrograde was when I found a studio and when I actually signed the lease for the studio. Doing that, I knew I had to dot every I and cross every T, and I did. But I also knew shortly after, towards the end of the Mercury retrograde period, that I heard in one ear that was not going to last. I was not going to be at that studio long. And so I don't blame Mercury retrograde. I was the one that, did it during that time when they say kind of don't sign contracts during a Mercury retrograde. Put it off if you can, because more than likely it has to be redone or you'll have problems. I will also say that when we found our dream home that we're now in North Carolina, which I do absolutely love, we had to sign contracts and or our closing during a Mercury retrograde. Sometimes real life things just can't be put off. That was one of them. And I kind of look back at that, and have we had some issues with the house? Yes. But we had a wonderful realtor that was smart enough to tell us to get that home warranty. And so we did. And it's helped a lot. And also at the closing itself, was there issues at the closing itself? Yes. And so thank God we got through it and we closed the next day. But my goodness, Mercury retrogrades can make things like that happen. Another great example in my own life was just last night. Last night or yesterday afternoon, my husband and I are in the house and we're downstairs and we're hearing that chirp, chirp, chirp. Now, those of you that have smoke detectors, you can appreciate, okay, one of the smoke detectors needs a battery. Well, it's very hard to find which one it is in the size house that we're in and the amount of rooms we have. I did not even want to bother trying to find it. So my husband went on a room search, but I started laughing because halfway through his search, the chirping stopped. And I realized, ha ha ha, Mercury retrograde and April Fools hitting on the same day. I don't know who came up with that. I always say the angels have a sense of humor, or God, or Buddha, or whoever you believe in or what you believe in. They're laughing at this one. Oh, yes. So, again, take what you can and use it in your own life scenarios. Most importantly, I come to you with these for your children and to integrate the things I share with you in their lives, because I really hope that you understand what it's like to be a child and imagine having to redo a test or redo a project. I know my oldest grandson, he had a project he was working on all during the Easter break, and it looked great. I loved it. And stuff, but you never know what teachers are looking for. And even teachers, if you're a teacher, really think about what you want redone by the students during this time or not. And so take this time to react less, reflect more. Namaste. Have a great yoga day. Happy Mercury retrograde and happy April Fools. I hope you have a lot of fun with it.